Pratt, so I locked eyes with him. And this is when people like Chris Pratt, by the way. I understand the deal now. But I locked eyes with Chris Pratt, and he like said like what's up to me, and I was like, whoa. And so they're introducing us. Channing Tatum, Neil Patrick Harris is over there, and so I'm like, this is crazy. And they introduce us, and so I don't know what to look at. So I'm just like, I'm just smiling. So just me like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hand Me Down Podcast. We are your hosts. My name's Natalia.
And I'm Alan.
And as you may notice, we have another special guest on the episode today. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to Southeast Los Angeles filmmaker, Chris Carmona.
Woo! Howdy, y'all. I'm using the shot right now.
We used to have an applause button on this thing, but now all of them are surprises. So these are all sound effects.
Oh, fun.
So we don't know what they are.
Dude, this is the coolest. What y'all are doing is everything I've ever wanted to do on a podcast. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Our associate producer, Milena, has put like surprise ones. So throughout the podcast, we're just going to hit them. We're going to be surprised. No matter what we're talking about, we're going to hit it. But really quick, let's go ahead and give an intro to our guest. He is from my hometown of Bell, California. He is what you might call a pioneer of celebs, creativity, and artistry. He was the youngest director to win the Academy's Teen Oscar competition, and then at 19 went on to direct his feature film. He has also made a Celebs Love miniseries for Mitù, and his accomplishments and projects don't stop there, but we will save the rest for later. So.
Wow, that was an intro.
Thanks for being here.
Well, I mean, that's all true. And Alan's a big part of my filmmaking journey too, ever since I first learned of him and he followed me. But even in real life, I feel like you showed love, but definitely like when we got Instagram, you were very vocal about, I love your videos. I watched them. I think you were going to Ellen Ochoa middle school at the time. So
yep.
It was cool. It was nice that somebody out there thought that they were funny or interesting to try to like. I want to do that myself. It's like, yeah, we all can.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then I actually got Alan to be on a music video. Only one, right? It was only one.
Only one.
Yeah, only one. My first music video ever, but that was a great experience too. So
that was also my first music video ever. and we have some more stories to tell about that. But
awesome.
Now that you bring it up, or should we break down the episode?
We can break it down. Can we break it down? I think that called for a little breaking it down.
For sure. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and break it down. As always, we're going to catch up at the beginning. How's everybody doing and all that stuff? And then we're going to go ahead and talk about more of the projects that you have worked on and kind of other stories that we have to share. And then, as always, our guest always brings down a hand-me-down. And they are going to also do that today. And then at the end, to top it all off, Latino Artist of the Week. We'll have one of those. So yeah, very excited for this episode.
All right. That's super excited. Thank you for coming. And let's go ahead and jump in.
Yeah,
jump into the episode.
How's everybody? How are you, Chris? Let's start off with you. We'll go down this way.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm doing well. It's very nice to meet you. In preparation for this, I watched at least 15 episodes back to back on my drives.
That's almost all of them.
So I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up on the Los Brownies one you guys put out. Shout out, by the way. Very cool. But yes, I'm doing well. I just finished editing a bunch of projects, 2 music videos that we filmed last year.
Wow.
The one still has a little bit longer of a completion line, but then the biggest one is this horror short I made called Come With Me. I finally finished a cut. It's a little bit of a work in progress, but we submitted it to Comic-Con, International Film Festival, for those out there who don't know, because not a lot of people know about it. I mean, everyone knows about Comic-Con, but not that they have a film fest out there. And it's a really
cool.
It wasn't busy last year because of the strikes, but now I reckon there's a lot more people. And now that people, my lady Jasmine, shout out, she won Best Action Adventure Short. So we're trying to, so it's like a really cool, they are very welcoming of all types of different looking movies. Like, it's not just a bunch of like, that was obviously shot on a big cinema camera, if it's creative and if they like it and if it fits, I think the Comic-Con vibe, they like it. So I'm excited to maybe get that. I sent a work print this year, so who knows, but I think we have a stronger shot next year once there's like a solidified cut. But that's been interesting because I haven't directed in a long while. I took a little break to make music, and then I wanted to come back into directing, but I didn't want to do something that was too far out of my reach. It was like, okay, stuff that I've done before a little bit, but adding a little bit more of a new element to it. So that right now, that's been kind of constantly on my mind. And plus I have a new job. It's new-ish, but I do videos for Remezcla, and
I've seen them.
I'm running around talking to people and interviewing folks for the first time, and it's nice. I feel like my this year and right now I'm trying to focus on being a strong producer as well as a director, making relationships and curating talent where I see it. Whether to put it in my own stuff or to give them, like, I like that you guys have a Latino recommendations opportunity, because I was thinking, like, man, I was just running through my head of like, okay, who could use it, or who's been. So that's cool. That's been mostly what's been on my mind right now. Just like I was telling Alan outside, I'm trying to be more. I'm trying to stay more productive and do more, which I have been, but also still have moments in time for a social life. But that's what I've been trying to work on.
Sounds very busy.
Yeah,
you got a lot
awesome.
going on. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, dang, that sounds so cool.
Yeah. And I think I have a lot more questions about what you had said a little bit later in the podcast. Yes. But I would love to learn more about the projects that you're working on. But Natalia, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I think we're filming this in the rainy season of February, so early February. So I hope everybody's staying warm, because my feet are very cold right now. But I've just been really busy working on some project myself and working on work related things. But I'm excited to be here. I'm also I feel like I've been all over the place this past week, so apologies, but
no worries.
Happy to be back. How are you, Alan?
I'm good. Yeah, my thing was that it's rainy. That's about it. Getting apparently historic rain here in Southern California. But just been busy with our first podcast collab. That went out last week. So just getting all that stuff ready, getting the logistics ready, having that go out. I feel like it's a lot when we have to advertise our own clips, but now we also have to advertise theirs. And it's like an exchange thing. Like, it's going to be beneficial, but it's like, so many things happening. I'm always on my phone having to do that, but good nonetheless.
That's awesome.
It's great.
I mean, this is how do you guys feel about how much love and support you guys have been getting? I don't want to say so early on. I think you've been doing it for a while, but it must be pretty exciting to have a big group of people waiting for new ones every week.
Yeah, I feel like I was talking about it with my sister actually the other day, where it was just kind of like, it's nice to be part of this community that our listeners also feel the same way about a lot of the things that we feel so passionate about. So it's it's been nice to find that community. And it's for the most part, a lot of our listeners are from Southern California, but little by little, we've been having people leave comments or join our Discord, and they're just hello from Chicago, or hello from Kentucky and stuff like that.
Dude.
Yeah, shout out Kentucky, dude. But so I think that's just been super crazy in that a lot of people can relate to what the things that we talk about in the podcast. And I think that was also the goal, is just people to see themselves, and that's the whole thing with representation too, because we're also filmmakers and stuff. So it's been nice to see that community grow and the support.
You guys got freaking Blue Beetle shouting you guys out.
We got Xolo,
that was Xolo in the comments.
I was like, what are you doing here?
I posted it, and then I was just I posted the clip and I tagged him. I'm like, whatever. And then I was about to start eating, and then I think I saw his name, and I was like, oh, and then it was a fan account. I was like, okay, it's a fan account. And then I saw another one pop up, and I'm like, let me see. And I was like, no way. And I hate it. I feel like he would have shared it, but I think that's when the strike was still going on. So he couldn't share it because we were talking about Blue Beetle. So I was like, oh, he could have shared it.
Oh, that's true.
I know he's listening right now.
Still, that's a big W, man. I was so excited for you guys.
And that was early on. We had been only doing it for a month or two. I mean, we've only been doing it for 4 or 5 months.
4 months.
We started in September. Late September. So.
That's epic.
But
it's been cool.
Yeah.
I when we first started, I was like, Natalia, we need to make a podcast for this specific niche, and we kind of had the person in mind who we want to listen to this, and slowly but surely these people have been finding it. So I think that's been really cool. There's also been a lot of people who we don't want as our target audience who have also been finding it.
Like who?
Just like people who are
people that leave hate comments. I feel like you get like really like tough skin being online. I think
that's also been like a learning curve.
I was just like, oh, what did they call me? I was like, God damn. But no, we just block and delete.
There you go. That's good.
But let's go ahead and move on. I want to get back to like one of the first points is that our kind of connection for me and you goes back a while. I think you are, to me, you're like a huge inspiration, especially someone who comes from Southeast LA. I've been wanting to like do film and do all this like media stuff since I was like a little kid, but it's hard when you don't see it a lot in your community in Southeast LA community. I think one of the episodes we talk about how like if you want to be successful from this community, like you're either a doctor or a lawyer, like you have to go into these professions. But I'm like, but I don't want to do that. Yeah. And I saw you doing stuff and I was like, okay, well, if this fool can do it, I can do it too. And like I started to kind of carve my own path through this industry. So it was really cool. It was like really, really eye-opening. So yeah, props to you, man.
Well, thank you. You know, I appreciate that, dude. I had always hoped for that, and that somebody would think this is doable, you know. Those videos were actually born out of I had that interest, and my dad had just gotten me this camera that I'm actually using still to this day. We just shot a music video for the Paranoias on it.
Cool.
Nice.
It's a Sony HDV 1000. It runs on mini DV tape.
Ooh.
So I was gifted that, and I was doing little skits at home and putting them on YouTube and trying to have like a little YouTube career. I was trying to be. You mentioned him, super ego. I was trying to.
Yeah.
I was trying to be that food, but I didn't live that life.
Yeah.
I didn't live that traditional Mexican. So my dad had just introduced us to like his lady, and so we met her family, and she had a more traditional.
I see.
They lived in East LA and all that. That's where I got more of, oh, okay, now I get a lot of these references that people make, because I didn't grow up. I mean, we grew up Latino, but we were a Christian family, so there wasn't a lot of like the drunk Theo shit like that. And we didn't really watch. We watched rated R movies, but we were just trying to be very Americanized. We were trying to be white. We were trying to be white.
Yeah.
So when I met my dad's girlfriend's family, we were a little more, classic Latino. So that was around the time that I was doing videos in middle school and high school. And so my dad was like, stop trying to make videos. You gotta do homework. And we'd have projects where we'd have to turn in like a presentation board. And so I thought, I know it's going to be unusual, but I feel like if I were to ask them, hey, instead of a board, can I make a video like about Galileo or fucking whatever? Can I just do that? And then they were like, okay. So then I got started doing that, just a bunch of video projects. A lot of them are on a YouTube channel called Evermar Productions. That was like my first big YouTube account. And it actually has more followers than like my current main one. So we made some kind of a little impact, but I started doing that, and then teachers saw that it was like bringing out, I guess, more like it was bringing out my my effort, because I was getting better grades, because the final product would be like a pretty decently edited video. And so a lot of times people it's crazy to think, let's see, when was that, like 2009 to 14 when I was going to school. So around that time, people weren't really, now everyone's a fucking YouTuber, you know? But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case in middle school. In high school, but even people in Maywood, no, people were becoming YouTubers like famous and easily, but it still wasn't like, it wasn't like people weren't trying. And if you were, it was like super private. Like the most famous I ever saw people get like in Maywood Academy was posting shuffle and like dance, like the dubstep videos. People were getting thousands of views on Facebook and stuff for that kind of
shuffle
stuff.
Videos,
yeah.
Shuffle
So
battles.
that was about as big as we could get in a place like Celebs, you know? So it wasn't until after, I think once I did the Team Oscar thing, that's when I was like, that really propelled me. And that's why I kind of feel like I get to kind of coast on like a lazy river a little bit now in life, because that's kind of like, I mean, like where else can you go from the Oscars, you know? Like, so for my parents, not to say like that was it for me, but my parents, that happened only a year after high school. My parents kind of laid off on me after that, laid off me of like, go to college. So once I did that, they're like, he must know what he's doing. So let's see where else this can go. And the following year, I made Bad Labor, my movie, and then a couple years after that, when it premiered, I made Instant Crush. And so a lot of it was just kind of the last is like a domino effect. Like I've just been trying to let whatever my last thing was, kind of drive the momentum, no matter how long it takes, to the next thing I put out. So it's funny too. Like I actually went to middle school and high school with not even high school, but middle school with your cousin Jessica. So the family ties go that deep.
Well, that's how I found out about it. I think she saw the spark in me of like, I want to do filmmaking, I want to do this. And she's like, low-key, there's this fool in my class who does stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I was just like, shout out. And I was just like, and I was watching those videos, those skits that you were making, and I was like, oh damn, like this one has lights and stuff. Like I don't know, like I didn't have lights.
Got a light.
But I was like, oh shit, like okay, well that's like the template that I need. Like I need to start getting like building up my gear and all that stuff. So it was fun.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I've just been a fan of yours ever since, because I think another thing I'll say too is apart from always wishing I'd had someone like what I do, I'd been in situations before, and I talked about it on our own show where there was other filmmakers in the area. There weren't a lot, but there were some people that were doing it, and you'd find another one that had achieved some pretty significant stuff, and maybe you join a film group with them. But then I don't remember if this person ever told me explicitly or if I just got that vibe like major. I feel like they told me explicitly because they're very blunt, but it pretty much like making kind of like looking down at me for the fact that I looked up or respected him, or I kind of revered. I wouldn't say I looked up to him, but I revered him.
Yeah.
And I remember him thinking I'm like, wow, that's really shitty. Like, just because I like sort of have like this admiration of you because of what you've done, you think you can just like talk down to me, because you're like a little bit older than me. I'd be like, that's messed up. We shouldn't be like that to each other.
Yeah.
I'll never be like that with someone that just trying to like show me like support and love. So I think you were the prime, because you're the only fan in the corner. So I'm like, I'm gonna treat my one guy amazing. And I'm always gonna because you've also asked me like if you can PA on like future like stuff we're gonna work on, like movies and stuff, which I'm working on as well. So yeah, I definitely want to get. I want to help you guys as much as you can, as much as I can, and in my way. So that way you can nurture maybe more people that are fans of your guys' through this, want to help you guys out in the future.
And that's like the ultimate goal, really. So it's good that we share that kind of like same value.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
Alan's gonna take off his hoodie and be like, Chris, this is gonna be a shirt. A shirt that says Chris, #1 fan. But no, that's very. It's nice to hear that, because I feel like we do talk about it sometimes, that it's just like finding somebody who like you believe in, but to have them believe in you as well. It's like it's so rewarding, and it's just like forming those kinds of relationships. Like those are the people that you want to work with and that you want to find your style with and learn things from. Yeah, keeping your circle. And I just love learning from other people as well. Like even like I grew up doing sports, and my mom would always tell me, like I would be very intimidated if I was playing on a team where somebody was better than me, and I would like express that, and my mom would be like, well, the only way you're going to get better is if you play with people that are better than you. And I was like, oh, real.
That's true.
So that's just super exciting too, because I feel like we're also just so young and like learning and stuff too. But
and it's kind of the same mentality, like whatever we can do to help other people out is like that's what we're going to do, because it's like we're not trying to gatekeep anything. I mean, we don't have that much to gatekeep, but we're not going to gatekeep that either. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Team Oscar. I mean, would you want to explain that to the audience who maybe doesn't know what that is?
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's not even a thing anymore. But I mean, I say unfortunately because like it does suck that a lot of other people don't have it. But it's kind of cool because it's like a thing that it's like one of those like Oscar history facts. Like, they did this for a little while and they never did it again. I get to be a part of that like limited pool of people and the youngest, which is nice. But Team Oscar was a competition when they had these producers, Craig Marin and Neil Zayden. Craig Zayden and Neil Marin. I think that's what it was.
We'll fact check it.
Yeah, we'll fact check that. Yeah. One of them passed away, so RIP. They would hook up. They hooked up with Channing Tatum, and I think for maybe we were the 3rd or 5th year. I think we were the 5th year, because I think it started in 2013 and then it ended 2015, 13, 14, 15. Maybe the 3rd year. So we were like the 3rd year of Team Oscar, where they put out a prompt, and at first it was only for college students, but they put out a prompt every year that was different, I believe. And so our year it was, can you make a 60-second video on the best piece of advice that you've ever received? And then a bunch of people sent, or a few people tagged me in the video. It's like Channing Tatum, he's talking about it. It's like, check this out, guys. But then yeah. So I got to it, and I had an idea over many ideas, because you see a bunch and you kind of get intimidated because you're like, they're gonna pick this one, because of whatever. And so I thought, let me do a 60 seconds. I'm like, that's like a trailer. I'm like, let me do a little like trailer about my life to the Academy, and saying like, oh, I envision myself going to the Oscars one day. So that's the basis of the video. It's called Live Your Own Story. It's on my YouTube. And my mom, she was like, can I write a poem for you? Can I write a poem for this?
So cute.
It is so cute. But at the time I was like, Mom, I don't want an effing poem. That's lame. And she's like, a rap? I'm like, no.
A rap.
Okay, write the poem, and then let me customize it. That's pretty much how I wrote essays in school anyway. So, so my mom, she writes this really beautiful poem, and I'm like, okay, because she tried to like rhyme it. I'm like, I don't remember if it rhymes all the way. I think it does, but I got rid of a few. I'm like, we don't need that. I like reworded some of it, and then I think I rewrote the ending of it. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, this is good. I can this. So I think it's me narrating. Yeah, it's me narrating in the video. So I'm saying all that. And the point of the video is like, it's my mom saying to live your own story. It's like, it's based off of kind of a real conversation we had where I used to just look at, like, I think like you were saying, I used to watch videos for me, like I used to watch videos of Bruno Mars, Julian Casablancas, all these people I admire. This was music, and even filmmakers too, Quentin Tarantino. I used to be like, oh man, why couldn't God make me them? Why did he make me me? And she's like, because he was saving you for Chris Carmona, for you, and you should focus on living your own story, so that you're not copying or trying to be like them. You're doing things your own way. And I think that's kind of been like the trajectory of my life. I kind of just used that for the prompt of the video, but I actually have been quietly following it.
It actually was the best piece of advice.
It was because I have been kind of following it, and that was kind of my MO in life. And I'm just like realizing, I'm like, oh shit, like yeah, that it still rings true to me to this day. So then yeah, I turned it in. I made it, and then I got selected. It was one of 5, and I found out when I was like at Sundance on like a class trip. So it was cool. That was cool. We got to fly out. I live here.
Yeah,
but they flew people out. Yeah, they got me a car ride to the Lowe's in Hollywood.
That's what I would always see. There would be like the Danimals, like commercials.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Win a trip to Los Angeles. I'm like, bruh, I got a car.
When they get to take you to the airport, fucking fly you around the ocean and bring you back. We flew you out. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, that was cool. I'm glad that had happened though, because I think I've said this to a friend before, but I feel like that set me on a path from the very beginning to be like all about quality and all about high production stuff. Like don't never cheap out on stuff, or don't, or just try to make it as quality as you can. And so it starts with me, like when I direct, like with framing, and obviously there's lighting and other stuff. But yeah, I'm really proud of that accomplishment, because it really, no matter how old I get, I'm aging out a little bit here, but I'm inching to that 3-0. But no matter how old I get, I always feel, that's why I go by Young Papi in music world too. Cause I'm like, I feel like that little accomplishment, because of how big it was, and because I got to see Bell, California on the website of like the Academy, I was like, I think that like kind of made me forever young. I'm like, I'm still 18. I'm still 18 at heart, like mentally and spiritually. And I know I'm an adult, so I'm not gonna act like that excuses me for like, I get to misbehave. But when I create, I like to tap into being as much of a kid as I can. Yeah. So I like that. I like that it kind of kept me young, in a lot of ways.
And how was that experience to be like at the Oscars and hold an Oscar and just like meet these people? They
told us you're gonna get so numb to meeting all these people very quickly. I'm like, there's no fucking way. And it was so true. Like, hey Oprah, hey Matthew McConaughey. God, boring. Like Chris Pratt, oh my God. Bryce Dallas Howard, oh my God, so boring. But yeah, no, it was cool. We were back. We were so like, you know what it felt like if you've ever done shows at like Bell High or Maywood. It's just like that. It's just bigger. I swear to God.
It's just a stage.
The curtains look the same. You still see the same fucking lines on the floor. You can still peek out, and so all it is a bigger side room where they have a monitor. You're sitting behind like a velvet rope with like, this is like the little field trip Team Oscar kids. And so it was like 5 of us behind that on like director's chairs. And we were just sitting there. They gave us like a packet. So we're reading through like the program and all that. And then there's just a monitor. So there's a show right there. So we're watching the Oscars on the day
behind.
Just behind the screen. And so then they're like, okay, get ready to go. So then, and man, being there, like the video of me, I remember when I was thinking about it, I was like, I want to wink at the camera. I want to like, throw up something. I'm like, I don't know. So I was overthinking it. And so when the moment, it's so big though, like the stadium, it's small, but like everything is so far. I didn't realize, it didn't occur to me. I'm not thinking the cameras are going to be like right up on the stage. Of course, they're like sports cameras where they're fucking, you can't see them. So I remember I was just kind of like, where the fuck are the cameras? But then I'm looking at all these famous people, and I had a moment with Chris Pratt, so I locked eyes with him. And this is when people like Chris Pratt, by the way. I understand the deal now. But I locked eyes with Chris Pratt, and he like said like, what's up to me? And I was like, whoa. And so they're introducing us, Channing Tatum, Neil Patrick Harris is over there. And so I'm like, this is crazy. And they introduce us. And so I don't know what to look at. So I'm just smiling. So just me like, you smile. And then they like give a round of applause when they cut to like us, because they cut to us right after. So you can see me go like, and then I stopped. I was like, oh shit, they didn't meet me. So I'm like.
That's so funny because you thought it was going to be like, have you seen the soccer games when they're doing like the fucking national anthems and the camera's like right here in their face?
Yes.
That's what you thought.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I couldn't see it. And I thought I could like, one of the guys that was in it, Patrick, he got to, because it starts on a close-up of you and then it's panning down on the rest of the winners. So it starts on me, I'm smiling, I'm like, yeah. And then they're going down, and then this, the guy in the middle, Patrick, he like did like a little wink and a, damn, bitch. Oh, that's too good. But yes, no, it was great. It was awesome. I'm glad I was looking fine. I was looking good. So that made me very happy to be part of Oscar history. And the cool thing too is, I just went to the Academy Museum last year. I took my girl, and they have a layout of the stage from when we went that year. That was the 87th Academy Awards. So they have, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I was there. I was in that little miniature. I'm right there. So if you ever want to see what that stage looked like, you can go to the Academy Museum, and for the 2015 Oscars, that was the one. It was cool.
Wow.
Damn.
I never really got to talk about this experience in detail, only with friends. So I'm realizing, I feel like I've told these details over and over, but I'm like, oh, only in real life, never on a show. So thank you.
No, that's great. Exclusive. We have a Chris Carmona exclusive
content. Do you think that calls for a button?
Oh, yeah, we have not used any of them.
Hell no. Boring. hell no.
That's part of the magic.
That's what I was
It can be like the complete opposite of what we're feeling.
I love to do one more time. I love doing this song noise with my girl, like when you had a long day. I need one of those sleeps.
The honk shoes.
But that's so cool to have like moments with these people.
Yeah, dude. In the video, and like I have it on my Instagram, but in the video of the people it cuts to after like applauding us, it's John Singleton, Richard Linklater, and I think Damon Chazelle. And I was like, damn, man, like filmmakers just looking at us.
Yeah.
The future. Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, it was cool. It was so much fun. One of my dreams, as I get more, people were like, I want to win an Oscar. Maybe there was that in me. There probably was a lot of that in me before that experience. But then I had that experience, and I'm like, I just want to be invited back, because I'm a filmmaker. Not even because I have a movie, but like, oh, come, be in attendance or whatever, because you're an important person. I'm like, and if I ever got the opportunity to do that, I would love to bring Team Oscar back. I think that would be, I'm like, I can be the new fucking ambassador for that.
Yeah.
It was a really cool experience. I feel like, I remember I was a little upset by it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'll get real about it. I was a little upset by it it was like a week we were in this hotel, and it was awesome. But I'm like, man, you're such a punk for being upset. I just remember it was sort of promised to you as like, this is going to not a guarantee. You're going to get a chance to talk with people that are going to help you achieve your dreams. Hey, right. But yeah, you got to talk to those people, but it really was like a field trip. It was like a really the coolest field trip ever. And like, you're the stars of this field trip because it's just you five. But it was kind of a field trip. But I did, and I even told myself to appreciate it in the moment. I'm like, don't be mad now. But it is. I wish it could come back because it is like it is something cool for you to achieve. Early on, or whenever you achieve it, right, in life. and I feel like that can really get you, like, you know, like to share stories like this. I feel like people are very intrigued by that, and that's gotten me far because. Also, people think, I'm like, okay, one person I worked with thinks I won a Student Academy Award. They didn't understand what Team Oscar was. So like, this guy, when they're like talking to me about to a colleague, this guy won a Student Oscar right here. And I was like, yeah, sitting at home.
No, I think that could be modified as an experience that like, you can get more out of it, kind of maybe like a mentorship program or just like something to like...
That would have been nice.
Be like to come back or like kind of like have that connection still be there for stuff like that.
It was very much a free for all. Like we were introduced to people and there's no way you're going to get this person's contact info, but we met one person in like Warner Bros. And I remember they wrote their email on one of my pads. And so I like got it and everyone was kind of, you know, it wasn't there. By the way, that vibe wasn't there before, but one person had to kind of be like trying to sort of one up us or trying to get in front of us in a lot of ways. And then immediately that like brought the competitiveness out of everybody. He fucked it up. He totally fucked it up. So it was not like that before. But I remember when I got this email, I remember it felt like, nah, you know, I'm going to gatekeep this. I don't have much to gatekeep this. And they're like, you better give me that fucking paper. I'm like, yeah, I will. Never did. And so it's stuff like that where I think if you didn't have to fight for it, be like, hey, everybody, easy. You're gonna get paired with somebody.
Yeah.
It's just five of you. You know,
that'd be a better atmosphere too, like you said.
Look at us. We got to pitch this to the Academy. This is a really cool opportunity.
If you guys are watching, anyone at the Academy, if you guys are watching this, hit us up. Hit our line. Okay, cool. So moving on, one of the things that we want to talk about is Bad Labor, which is your first feature film at $700 was the budget. That is insane. I guess, do you want to like intro it first? And then one of the questions I have is how did you keep the cost so down? And like, what did your crew look like? So just like intro the film for everybody who hasn't.
Thank you, man. Well, I'm very proud of Bad Labor. It's my first movie ever. It's the goal was to make something similar to like how Robert Rodriguez did El Mariachi. He did that for $7,000 in the 80s, in the 90s. So I thought, well, you know, we live in this era. I think I can do it for a lot cheaper and maybe even a little bit of a better movie. That was like my personal, like, especially in the writing. I'm like, he wasn't trying to write something like that crazy. I'm like, I'm not trying to write something crazy either. I'm trying to do definitely like a genre pulpy movie, but you know, make it funny. Let's make it funny. So I wrote Bad Labor and borrowing from his method of write just around things you have. I wanted to, I had to look at everything I had access to. My dad's a truck driver, so there's like a big sequence at the end that involves my dad's regular pickup truck and like a semi truck.
I remember that. I was like, that's insane for $700.
Well, I knew I had to do that. That one was like that. That was kind of like, I knew that had to be the most talked about part of the movie. Because like the rest is like interesting and fun, but I think a lot of these low budget movies that you see from like these first time legends, like the movies are fine. There's usually like one thing it's known for, whether it's the budget, like, oh, they did this really, they did this scene really well, or the music's good. So I'm very proud of Bad Labor for the music and that scene in particular. Again, I like everything about it, but I think that is what I felt like, okay, I did my job there. It's a low budget movie, but yeah, $700, that was kind of arbitrary. It was just removing a zero from that 7,000. And I had made that money PAing on these Jameson short films, these short films that were produced by Jameson, the liquor or the drink. And I think that year it was starring Maggie Gyllenhaal. We had Maggie Gyllenhaal. So I made I think exactly 700 on that PA, and I taped it to my wall, and I wrote the logo. I drew the logo. I'm like, all right, Bad Labor. This is the money I'm going to use to make it. And so around that time, I had only 2 partners, Tony and Jose, my film buddies. We were genius together. Now it's just me, but we did a bunch of music videos after high school, or we met each other at a program called Inner City Filmmakers, 2014. Then I got to do Team Oscar. And so after that, then we just started doing a bunch of projects together. And I said, hey guys, let's make a movie. So we did. It was 3 of us. And then we'd switch out with another homie that I shot with up until pretty recently, Oscar, who was my DP until now he's a pilot. But
oh wow.
Yeah, Oscar in the skies.
Oscar in the skies.
Oscar the homie.
Oscar. Shout out Oscar.
Fly high.
Fly high, my brother. No, yes.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Soar, my friend.
There was a boom button.
So there was always 3 at least 19-year-olds on the set. And so I just wrote around everything I had. Everything. The lead, I didn't have Roberto, the guy who plays the Hispanic guy. That was a recommendation on Facebook. And even then, you always hear about classic stories of, they put an ad out, or they did more traditional things. I felt a little embarrassed at first that I reached out through Facebook because it just didn't feel very exciting.
Yeah.
But then you just realize that's kind of even nutser that you just find people by putting out, hey, does anyone know someone that kind of gives off, I always forget, Benicio del Toro vibes, Damian Bashir vibes,
interesting
type of actor. And so they sent me that guy.
And I feel like that's how it's done now, even for some big open calls for Netflix and stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah, and so that was embarrassing. This is embarrassing. But I found some guy like that, Salvador Chacon, and then the other guy, the assassin in that movie, that was the dude I went to improv with. I went to UCB. It's closed now, but it was on Sunset. Yeah. We did Improv 101 with Casey Faye. I think that's his name. Shout out. So Bad Labor is a movie. It's a movie about a day laborer who gets picked up by a hitman who has a job he has for him that's going to pay 10 grand, but it involves kidnapping, murder, and then he's got to help him dig a hole to throw said body in. And so that's the predicament of the movie. And really quick, that's that was a thought I had when I was going to go print out. The first script I ever wrote was for a different movie that I want to end up making. But I remember I had to drive to get to Office Depot. I had to drive through Home Depot to get past them. So I remember thinking man, these guys are brave. You never know. It's you never know whose car you're going to get into.
Yeah.
And so that was the conceit of what if
interesting idea.
Yeah, what an interesting idea. And I initially wrote it. It was going to be called For Hire, and I wanted to just write it to sell it. But then a lot of things came to a head in my life, around beginning of 2016, to where I was I think I'm trying too hard to do a bunch of stuff. I think I should just make a movie. You know what? Okay. Right before this, so I told this story before, where right before Bad Labor, I got scammed out of $3,000 for a fake production job in Sacramento. And that really fucked me up. So that's why I wrote my first feature script ever. And then right after that, I wrote Bad Labor because I had that thought or whatever. But prior to that, I was really desperately, after Team Oscar, I was just trying so hard to kind of get back in that environment. But that was kind of the weird thing about it. That's why I like the mentorship idea, because, man, it's they say the highest of the high, you're going to fall hard right after. It's even when you go to a great concert and you're feeling depressed. Yeah, it was that. It was that times not a million, but 100. I was so sad. I remember the Escalade dropping me off. I'm all drunk from being at the Governor's Ball. I was 18, and I'm driving back, and the Escalade drops me off home, and I get to the house, and I'm it was a week of just kind of being at home and just realizing fuck, dude, how do I get back? How do I get back to not even the party or whatever, the being around people like this. This is the world I want to be. I want to be, and I want to work with these people or whatever. So I tried so many things. That's how I ended up getting scammed, because I was just trying to look for jobs on Craigslist too. But before that, I've never told this story. I went to
getting all the exclusive.
Yes, sir. No, because I wrote a funny little 3-page short that tells this story, but I'm excited to just kind of tell it as it was. I was trying so hard to get a studio gig. I just thought, well, you know what I haven't done? I've not literally stood outside with a sign saying like for hire. I think or hire me. I think it was hire me. It was hire me. And then I had a manila folder full of my resume. And I thought, this might catch someone's attention. And I was planning to, this sounds like a like a terrorist mission, but I was planning on hitting Sony first, Fox, Disney, all these places, and standing outside and just offering up my resume. And so I started at Sony and it ended at Sony. But I was standing out there and I dead ass had a sign on me. And I remember I was standing there and it was a little humiliating. It was like being like, those sign twirlers.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I'm promoting, just myself. So I'm standing out there. And I remember a couple people were driving out, taking pictures of me. I'm like, okay, maybe they're saying it to the boss, but dude, this guy's committed. And then I think one person, maybe they were as a goof, but on their way, and they're like, can I get one of those? so I gave my resume. I was all excited. I only added one. But I remember thinking like, man, this is so embarrassing, but like, maybe I'll get a job. Finally, security too was like, can you back up? Because first I was kind of a little close to the entrance. Then they're like, can you back up, go on the sidewalk? So I went to the sidewalk. I'm standing out there, and I guess enough people. I was there during like their lunch hour, so I think I was there long enough to where somebody finally from the studio finally comes out, and he just goes like, "Hey man, what you doing?" And so I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to, apply for a job, or just make myself be available for consideration." Mm-hmm. And so he's like, "Have you looked at Indeed and stuff?" And in my mind, I'm like, No, great idea. Let me go back figure that out. It's like, yes, I have. I tried that. That's why I'm here, because it's not really going well for me just doing that. Mm-hmm. And then I just remember, I feel like I always remember the wording, but he said something to the effect of like, well, I think what you're doing right now is, he said moot, which means like ineffective. He's like, what you're doing right now is moot. He's like, and I feel like there are better ways to get hired than what you're doing right now. He's like, I think this is just gonna not make you be seen in the best light. That's roughly what he said, something like that to me. So I just remember being like, damn, like you could offer me a job, but he's just telling me that, whatever. And so he nicely kind of told me to like leave. And so I was like, okay. So then I went home and I went to my car and I thought, am I gonna go hit up the other places now? And I remember that just like kind of put an end to it. And that's why I was like, well, what am I trying to do here? Like, what am I known for? What do I want to do? I want to make movies, right? Duh. Let me make a movie. And so then it took me getting scammed. And after that to then be like, all right, let's just go. Let's just make something. Yeah. So yeah, the $700 I try to keep to that I think paid for snacks, a fucking light we didn't use. Oh my God. A big, cause it takes place in like a big field at the end, or like a big kind of like ranch. And so we bought this light that's like, that they use for like festivals where it's like a inflatable tube. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work. So we had to just kind of work with our own lights and use what we had. And yeah, I paid for a bunch of other little things, but let's see, we shot that in 2016. So we shot it at the top of July. And yeah, so the principal shoot, I would say, was like 8 or 9 days. We lost a significant amount of footage because we were doing company moves. So the DIT wasn't always great, dumping the footage.
Yeah.
Because it's in the back of a car going like this, And so we're like, I think it went through, and didn't check it. So we lost a good amount of the movie.
Damn.
But the crazy thing is that it was scenes that were just badly done anyway. Like, someone didn't show up. The costume was not it, or the performance wasn't it. We didn't get on it. Whatever, right? Driving scene, like we built like our own little rig to do like a classic Pulp Fiction sidecar thing, but then the camera just kind of kept looking that way. So we reshot all that stuff. We kept it indoors. We did it, and then the movie is a lot better for it. But I had to really deliberate for a long time I tried to save that footage. I tried to take it to every editing expert I knew. Nobody could do it. And the only choice was to reshoot. So I made a teaser that's still on my YouTube. It's called, it was the first Bad Labor teaser. And it was like coming in summer 2017 or whatever. And I really tried to make it look like big and Hollywood and cool to get my actors excited. And so I sent it to them like, what do you guys think? They're like, it looks great. I'm like, awesome. I'm glad you guys think so. We have to go refilm a lot of it. So... Damn. So be ready for that. And they're like, they made time in their schedule, which they could have not. I thank them a lot for that. And even then, we still kept it under budget. The production, the principal was all 700. Everything, a little cost after, like to color it, that was like extra out of like pocket stuff. But the shoot itself, the movie was everything you see. That was all 700, and everything in it, cars, costumes, we already had from sketches or whatever. And so we wrote it so that, you know, we had a cop costume. So like, all right, the dude's a cop. And even for a scene like that in the beginning with a cop, with this cop's son, people were like, what's the point of this guy? Like, just drop this scene. He's not even in the rest of the movie. But I'm like, well, that's a big actor I got, you know?
No, I was going to say, I was like, that's the guy from Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I just can't just cut bro out. He's got these commercials right now for the lottery. Shout out Jorge Diaz. But yes, I was like, I'm not cutting that fool out. So yeah, it was just a lot of work to get there. And the cherry on top is that we got to premiere at the Chinese theater.
Yeah.
Thanks to Mitù. I'm not gonna lie about that. I feel like that's got to be talked about. How a lot of it's a good thing. Festivals have relationships with all these companies that go and sponsor them and promote. So a lot of times that's going to be how a lot of people get in, you know, and that's how my movie got in, because I was already talking to them with to do Instant Crush. We were already developing that, and I had already because through the only reason I got that too is because I had a cut of Bad Labor that I was showing to everybody at Mitù, and they liked it. And they said, okay, $700, we'll give this kid some money to make a digital series for us. And so while they were figuring that out, then they said, okay, hey, we're gonna finish your movie and we're gonna submit it to Lalif. They didn't promise me, I'll give them that credit. They didn't promise me I was gonna get in, but they said it might not, but we have a good relationship and this is gonna be the first year they start again. So
wow.
So then it got in, and that was like no matter what happened, even if we didn't get a distribution deal, that was like a big deal for us.
How did that relationship with Mitù start?
Man, Mitù didn't even know, or when I first met them, they didn't even know me as they knew me as a filmmaker, but they hadn't seen anything I had made. I tell this story about how they had I don't know if they still do it, but they have, I'll just say for now, they have a program called Accelerator where they invite young filmmakers for a few weeks to make one movie with a group. They don't have to do, I was in another group where you had to each do a film. I think you just make one and you assign like who's going to be the director, who's going to produce, blah, blah, blah.
I see.
I got invited to that in 2016, but I knew I couldn't finish because I thought I could do that. I'm like, I could do this in the morning and shoot Bad Labor at night. That was not the case, and I am glad I did not put myself through that. But I went to the first day, and Mitù was there. They were sponsoring the event. So one person that believed in me, Rodrigo Gonzalez, ex-Gonzalez, shout out. There was an assignment where it was like for the directing part of the day, they assigned us to come up with a AC commercial. So I came up with one. I did a little doodle of like a cartoon guy kind of like euphorically next to an AC, because when I used to get babysat as a kid, I used to love putting my face on the AC. I thought, what if there's like a commercial where a bunch of people are flying like sardines across the office because they just installed the new AC. So I drew that. And then this guy behind me goes like, wow, man, that's really good. I like things. Like you got to tell them when they ask you when they ask for who has a commercial. And I'm like, this guy's really stoked on my drawing. Like, okay. So I told them the idea. And then after the fact, like, he was just like, I really love that drawing, man. Like, that was really great. He's like, very creative. Great job. I'm like, okay, thanks. You know, no. And so I didn't know who he was. And so I couldn't continue the program. It ended. Or I had to leave, and so I wrote like an email saying, "Hey guys, thanks for inviting me, but I should have just said I'm working on my first movie, but I made up some lie. I gotta go visit my tia in Mexico. She's gonna die. Just because I didn't want them to be
that
like,
calls for a button.
Back.
Let's do a button.
Which one?
My tia's gonna die, so I gotta dash. I'm out of here. So yeah."
Whoa, this is long.
Cartoon. It's like Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera.
That was long.
Wow, that's fun.
But I love that. I love that song.
Yeah. So
you told them a lie.
So I lied to them, and then I went to go make my movie. And so I guess that guy that like really liked my drawing, Rodrigo, he was like, hey, where's that kid? I guess like the next day he's like, where's that guy? And like, oh, he couldn't continue or whatever. So I guess he got my email. Damn. And then he wrote to me, said, hey, by the way, my name's Rodrigo. I work with Mitù. Come to our offices sometime. I'm sorry you couldn't continue the program, but I really liked your drawing or whatever.
Wow, that so one drawing.
Yeah, so I'm like, damn, one fucking little weak ass doodle. It's kind of cute. But I was like, I was really impressed by that. And I'm thinking, oh, they must know what I've done or whatever. So then when I went to go to their offices, which were in Santa Monica at the time, I showed them Team Oscar, all the sketches I've done. And did I make Bad Labor? No, I was making Bad Labor, so I didn't have anything to show them. I probably had like a teaser. They were just like, whoa, like you make really good, like videos, I think they just thought I was a creative person. So they just wanted to see what I could be a good fit for. And so ever since then, we were essentially actually trying to write different versions of the show I ended up making with them, Instant Crush. Because I was trying to do a podcast at that time, and the premise for it, I don't know if you remember when I did this podcast, the Carmona Complex.
Yes, it rings a bell.
Short-lived. But it was the idea was what ended up being Instant Crush was a bunch of 19-year-olds moving into a shitty rundown apartment complex just because it's named after me. It like this fictional apartment complex, and the idea is like we're in this apartment as we're doing these interviews or whatever. And so I thought that'd be a really cool show. Actually, I don't think we should do it as a podcast, but maybe as a show it'd be great. And so I wrote that version first. The other iterations weren't as good because I think it was just too bro-y with like the three friends. And I thought, well, in one of the pilots I'd written, there's like a girl neighbor character named Cindy. So I'm like, what if Cindy and Annie had like a little romantic thing? And so when conversations with Mitù kind of like were not happening as often, I wrote a movie version of Instant Crush of that idea. So I called it Instant Crush, and I shared it with them. And they said, can you make this a digital series? I couldn't conceive of it at the time, but I said, yes, of course. And so then they're like, okay, give it a shot. I did.
Wow.
And then, around that time, I was showing them Bad Labor. I think once Bad Labor got into my leaf, and there was a little bit of like people starting to talk about me, that got them to like sign off on a 70K budget for 75K budget, or maybe less. No, I think it was 75K for our show, Instant Crush. Maybe it was less. But maybe it was about 70K. But that was our budget.
Damn.
We did. It's originally 4 episodes, but then it became 6 episodes, and that was like that. That still is kind of to this day the biggest production I've ever commanded. There was a big crew, like 20 people, and we shot it in Southeast LA, but also in Hawthorne and Torrance and Long Beach.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I recognize all the places. I was like, that's Southgate Park. That's by the convention center in Long Beach. That's
I love doing that. No, I love doing that. I think I want to see that more. And it happens even in I'll see a music video where they shoot it in Cellar or something. I'm like, oh shit, like that's the fucking LA River. That's Tacos Mexico.
Yeah.
I love Tacos Mexico.
Yeah, I love how you put like little references in your work to either Cellar or just like past projects that you've done. And that's something that I've tried to carry in my work too. It's like, This is an opportunity where I can put this there or this there, like showcase Cellar like in that way.
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
It's been cool.
And you're from, where are you from again?
San Jose.
San Jose. Nice. Yeah, the Bay. Cool.
From the Bay.
Yeah. Hey, I want to do that too, but I'm like, I'm out here. I'm out here. That one was good.
She's from the Bay.
Oh no, it's only good. Anyway, Niners.
Shout out Super Bowl. This will go out Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday. Shout out Niners.
So
it's gonna be forever.
An LA team isn't in the Super Bowl, so I'm wishing you guys all the best luck.
Thank you. It's still a California.
You guys
team.
should still. Yeah, exactly. You guys should still. I'm rooting for you guys. Bring it to California.
My parents are too. They're so excited. It's so cute. But
another question that I wanted to get to is, as you've had this experience, and where do you see Latino cinema going forward? Like, where do you want it to go forward as Latino filmmakers, or like where do you see that going? And
where I see it going, I mean, I think the best thing we can do is to make ourselves as less of a monolith as possible, and let's not mythologize this work. I feel like that holds a lot of people back when you look at like this famous person. God, he's so great, so great. It's like, yeah, they're great, but you have to. This is all very practical work. It's not like sure, some people are gifted in that, like they have the endurance to keep trying, keep going, and not be embarrassed by every attempt that to others might seem embarrassing or whatever. I'm dealing with that with this short I'm making. It's about a fucking cat, you know, a guy in a cat suit. And I got to be like, take me serious. I'm a real contender. But I think the best thing we can do. That's why I like to emphasize we're celeb filmmakers, less so than Latino, because I'm like, I don't think I embody what is seen as Latino, or at least not fully. And I used to really try to like get people, for so many years we were trying to like, we got to get people to see that it's you got to do it this way. I just think we should be is making room for all types of Latino representation. Yeah. It's not even so much as like the stuff we used to complain about, like, oh, cholos and all that. It's not that that's bad. It's just we have to believe in ourselves too, that we can take a chance to write something that you'd write for any race of a person or just anybody. That's just an interesting. I'm like, just think of a movie that you liked from when you're little, Back to the Future, anything fun. Write that first. Everyone wants to write something that really like impacts you and is maybe a little sad. And I get that. I understand that does, that those are nice movies. But I think we're at an age right now where we're the least affected by tragedy. I'm not speaking for everyone, but point is, who you are when you're 20, in your 20s, so like let's say in your 40s, you're gonna experience a lot more shit. You're gonna have a lot more to say around that age about deep themes like that. I'm not really gonna listen to some 25-year-old be like, life is water, It's like, yeah, maybe, but you might change your opinion as you're fucking editing the movie. Yeah. So I'm like, just make stuff that like really like that you as a kid would be like, I gotta see that movie next week with my freaking friends, That's all I'm trying to do, I think, in this first leg of my life. And I think that's what I'd like to see more people embrace. And I'm seeing it too. People, you hear stories, especially from my girl, or she talks to different people where they feel they're new to this game and they think, I have to write mi gente type stories and write stuff like that. It's like, that's one way to do it, and people will probably embrace you more right off the bat. But if you just did things that felt more true to you in whatever way that is, whatever way, you'll get a lot more, you'll feel a lot more. Like for me, not a lot of people know what I do, but when I get to talk about it, it's so 100% me. I feel proud of it. They're like literally tattoos on me. I have a Bad Labor tattoo. I have a Team Oscar tattoo, and that it feels like that. It feels like, doesn't matter if the whole world doesn't know about it. I got to do that, and it's always going to live on forever. And when I do get enough people to know about what it is I do, there's all that stuff you can return to. So I'm not mad that, I think a lot of people too are frustrated that they can't get ahead without conforming. And then there isn't the instant success and fame when you make something, That's what I thought was going to happen with Bad Labor. That's how freaking Robert Rodriguez ends his book. He's like, and then I now work in Hollywood. Holy shit. So I thought that's going to happen to me. And you know what? In a lot of ways it did. It just didn't look exactly. Wait, hit me. The sad truth. But it's a good thing to come to terms with, because being under the radar, it means you have time to nurture your voice and then meet other people that aren't in as big of a spotlight or are like just people that are underappreciated, and then you get to champion them from the start and see a lot of cool careers get to rise.
And I think that's so interesting. I feel like we've talked about it, and I don't think we've ever put it in those words of like a monolith. And that's something that I want to talk about in a future episode of like just like Latinos not being a monolith, but like. I agree with that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, period. There we go.
Shit.
I always forget which one.
But I think that's really good. And another one is just like, how does your like collective Novo Hollywood play into like that vision that you want to see?
Yeah, Novo Hollywood. It consists of myself, Chris, my girlfriend Jasmine Aguilar, and directors and screenwriters Angel I Salinas and Sarah Aviles. We formed I think before the pandemic, and the premise, it started with Angel suggested this when it was just me and him doing our podcast, the Us podcast. We plug. We he was saying, he's like Steven Spielberg, Brian De Palma, George Lucas, Martin Scorsese. They had a little club. They were called the Hollywood Brats or something like that, or maybe they were called New Hollywood. But they were called the Film Brats, I think. And so he's like, we should have like a group like that, like where it's just like. At first, he wanted to make it like where we invite a lot more people over time. I was like, no. Let's keep that shit like super exclusive. I'm like, it started from a place of anger, but I still think that everyone should find their own close circle of like-minded individuals that you can trust and rely on for quality control, to be honest about stuff, and to just give it to you straight. And I think all feedback is you can learn something from it, but just like a play, like it's like the one time where you're like, okay, I can be a robot here. I don't have to take things personal because we're just trying to make our stories better at the end of the day. Yeah. So we really try to have these beat sessions where we're sharing our ideas, and then we're kind of just being like not hypercritical, but we're being honest about our own work first, and then kind of then discussing the industry at large and what's being asked of us. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of people that we know too are just very frustrated with the strikes happening, all this stuff that like are technically setbacks, the pandemic, of course. But just, I feel like we need to, this kind of touches back on the last question too, and why I believe in starting groups of your own, like we did with Noble Hollywood. Yeah. Because it's already such it's already kind of hard out. It's a really hard thing to do. Not the work itself, but sticking with it long enough, trusting people are thinking about you in some kind of way, or waiting for your next thing. And I think when you have a group, and if you can be honest with yourself about where you're lacking and where you're not putting in the work a lot, you could probably feel like you're behind in life. But then even for me, I check in with myself, be like, all right, but I'm not constantly, not that you need to be constantly posting, but I'm not doing that. So I can't, it's not like I'm doing that and I'm showing no results. Like there are corners I can see where I could be maybe being a little more proactive and maybe getting a little bit more opportunities here and then. I feel like that's how I even got this Remezcla job, just by having done the podcast. I thought editing those, like, that's just for like the few people that saw it and nobody else, but that actually helped me get my gig. So everything you're working on means something. And I think when you have a good, strong, solid, tiny little group of friends to do that with, because you can have friends, right? But for a specific type of work, if you have like a close-knit group, I think you can produce the best feedback, and you can really get the most, you can learn the most from something like that, from people that are either come from where you come from, like the three of us are just like are really well versed in like screenwriting and stuff like that.
I think it's really important just to have like kind of that trusting and like safe environment to do all that stuff, because it's a place, an industry where there's like a lot of egos. So being able to have a place where everybody can check that at the door and just come in here and be like, okay.
Did you guys, or did you two like, how did you guys like, did you guys find each other on a film set, or was it at school? And have you worked on anything together in the film world?
It was through the club that we ran at UCLA. Well, we first joined it as freshmen, and then we ended up running it together. But it was kind of like a collective where we all kind of like.
Yeah, it was like, we started off freshman year. Sorry, yeah. I was like, freshman year, he was like, I want to direct something. And I was just like, I want to DP something. And then so that's kind of like where it started. Nice. And I think his idea was so bizarre and something that I hadn't heard of before that it just like stayed in my mind, because we talked about like that project got cut because of the pandemic, or like that version. And like the whole pandemic, I never stopped thinking about it. And I think I was just like constantly thinking about like, okay, that was like my goals. Like when we get back, we're gonna finish that. We're gonna finish that, and that's what we did. With that was Meat Lover.
Right yeah, I was gonna say, is that the cannibal one? And
yeah.
Sick. I love that one.
Yeah. So I was just like, that's kind of like how I think we formed that like director DP like relationship,
and just producing, awesome. Like a lot of helping other people make their short
producing
films. Too. This has been like our thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing to see, man. I think that's where it starts, and maybe your team gets bigger, maybe it stays you guys and you find your own group of colleagues.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's the best, I think when you can find, the best thing I can say, the reason I say don't mythologize things too is a lot of people want to, me too, especially growing up, especially after having gone to the Oscars, you want to be like, oh, if I could just get so-and-so's information, if they knew about me, but this really famous person, right?
Yeah.
They have a saying where they say, don't network vertically, network horizontally.
Yeah.
It's the people around you that are going to become those dudes. And you as well.
And
you
I've heard that too.
Yourself. Yeah.
It's like the relationships you make now, although they might not seem like they're going to take you anywhere. Oh, they will.
You don't know who's going to get the next boss of something that you're like, oh, damn, like cool. Like,
I know a guy. I know someone. Well,
case in point, I would have never thought the cool young man that I gave a couple opportunities to PA on some of my sets would be inviting me to his very dope podcast. So it literally comes full circle.
Yeah. No, and that's great. But it's great to hear. I have a couple more questions, but I'm just gonna go ahead and disregard those because we should get to your hand-me-down item.
Yeah, sure.
So share with us your hand-me-down item.
So we had a VHS collection when I was a very young lad, and in like a fit of Christian rage, my mother burned all the tapes that were like not Christian because she's like, we're not doing enough for God. So one day she threw all our tapes out into the backyard in Chancellor and Bell. And she set it all on fire. And tapes are very flammable. So the fire department came. And it was very dramatic.
It was that many tapes.
Yeah. But this was one of the ones that remained. I guess she missed it. And yeah, I never watched it because it just didn't seem like it interested me. And I feel like I thought I'd maybe seen it before. But I brought it because I still have it to this day. This is from, the 90s. And I didn't realize that these movies were, I didn't realize that this first movie in particular, Mariachi, would ever change my life. So once I found it at my mom's house again, I was like, hey, can I have that? Like, that's amazing. I didn't realize I was in possession of this. And I remember I tweeted it out to Robert Rodriguez and he acknowledged it. He wrote, ooh, the original double feature. So I was like, I'm close. I'm going to get you. I was just on a Zoom he did a Zoom panel. And so I took a bunch of screenshots of my screen next to his head. I'm like, closer. I'm getting there.
We're besties. Yeah, basically.
Yes. But I'm very proud of this. It's one of the cooler things I own. And this was handed down to me essentially from, I got it at my mom's, but my dad is the one who would watch all these action movies and he had been known. And he'd always actually tell me, Robert Rodriguez made his first. I don't know why I never thought to give it a watch. I was like, yeah, Spy Kids, right? Yeah. But then, but I read his book and then I learned.
Wow.
So
that's actually a really good one. I feel like this hand-me-down or just this story is it feels like it was written.
Yeah, you were saying
somewhere.
losing footage of bad labor because of the DAT, the footage that you happen to lose and stuff. I'm like, who's writing your stuff?
No, that part especially, I was like, I couldn't be too mad because I'm living.
There we go.
But no, I couldn't. That part was the craziest shit to me because I was mad, but I'm like, it's not like we lost any of the good scenes. We still have stuff at night because we shot with two different cameras. We shot on a Canon T5i4i.
That was my first one.
On RAW. On RAW. Shit. So it was like shooting on film because it takes up more card space and you could hear it's taking a bunch of pictures. So it was like, it felt like we're making a motion picture here. So I'm going to call this a fucking motion picture. Yeah, that's why it's able to be high quality in the daytime stuff and at night and all that. But yeah, I agree. I'm like, I don't know who's writing this, but shout out to the writers.
Shout out to them.
It's lit. I was like, damn, that's such a nice thing to be and the fact that one survived. It's
I know of all the ones. I think it was just tucked in the back, but there it is. Antonio Banderas. Well, he's not in Mariachi, but Carlos Gallardo. Okay, funny. Also, random story. When I was making Bad Labor, I found the guy who's in the first Mariachi, Carlos Gallardo. I found his Facebook and I messaged him. I was like, hey, I wanted him to play a cameo. It's the cameo that my dad ends up playing in the movie, but it's the truck driver that runs over somebody. And I hit him up and I think he was kind of just like, thanks, but nah, nah. And I was like, okay, it would have been nice.
That's my tío's name.
Well,
Carlos Gallardo?
Carlos Gallardo.
Carlos.
We can get you a Carlos Gallardo. I know a guy.
But yeah, I mean, we have a little bit more time, so I'll go ahead and squeeze in this last question. I don't know if you have any questions.
I'm just really enjoying the conversation. I'm just like, God damn. Yeah, no, because I think I was first introduced to your work. What was the context in that we were watching short films made by people? Like,
I feel like maybe I think there was one night where, because I met Natalia in college, so she didn't see like a lot of the stuff that I had done in middle school and high school. And I was like, well, low key, like we're getting really close. I think you need to see these, because I privated all the videos. I'm like, I think you need to see some of these videos so you can understand me. Like a lot of my close friends.
Fast Cantation production.
Fast Productions.
Yeah.
So I was like, you need to see these. And I showed her one, and I was like, and I think I just told her, I'm like, yeah, like this guy, Chris Carmona, like he really inspired me to like, I also just like put myself out there and like not be afraid to like put these videos online. And now they're all privated, but
they were up.
They were up once.
Maybe our Patreon is getting we started
and
Patreon.
I showed her, was it that? And then I'm like, let me show you some of his stuff. Or was it something else?
You showed me Bad Labor, I think. So I saw it then.
Or just like talking about like low budgets and like wanting to do stuff like that.
Because we were just like, we were wanting to do stuff of our own, and we were just like, well, we don't have a budget. So, you know, you can learn a lot from studying big movies with big budgets and stuff, but definitely. I think in our case, like we learned a lot more studying movies from people that had like similar budgets to what we were looking at. So I think that's what we were looking at with yours, and I was like, this is really good. I was like, God damn.
Yeah. The thing about like making those films at UCLA is thank you. No, because there was an episode where I was just like, I had an alfalfa. Which one?
Good.
Oh my God. I forgot that was one of them. That one scared me.
That's so scary. Let me put it back up. I feel like we need more sauce. But the good thing about doing this in college is that you can get a lot of quote unquote free labor, like from people who want to be a part of the crew.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that like you need a bigger budget, and we actually need to feed them.
Yeah.
So that's why like all the short films that we would do would be $1,000 the budget. When we were there, we did 7 short films.
Yeah.
Wow.
So $1,000 each. How to raise all that money?
Yeah, that's really good, man. Some people still think that you got to pay exorbitant amounts of money to make a good looking short, and I think with most shorts, I think you just kind of start with what is the most important thing to me. Is it the camera work? Is it the performance? Is it a sequence here? Then base all your costs around that. Like, all right, that's what I will go crazy on. Everything else, I can try to be more cost friendlier.
And I feel like our philosophy was always like the number one thing was story.
Yeah.
It's like, even if this director is a little bit inexperienced, like, I don't care. They have a good story. We're going to try to help them tell it as much as they can and like help them in other ways. But yeah, that's what it was. I guess we're reaching towards the end because we have like 5 more minutes. So go ahead. I don't know if you want to do your Latino Artist of the Week to close off the episode.
Yes. Man, I was really torn because I love shouting out my fellow artists, Latino artists. I think today I'd love to shout out. Okay, well, they're both called Ethan, so I'm just going to shout them both out. First, I'm going to shout out my brother, Ethan Carmona.
Hell yeah.
He makes beautiful music. And he's another prodigy. I think all my brothers have been like insane music prodigies.
I would listen to your brother's music a lot.
Thank you. Blackmouth. Check it out. Thank you, bro. Yeah, they're both really great. Ethan, he does raps. He goes by Mastermind. $$ TA mind. So there you go, Ethan. His beats, he started, what is he? Okay, he's 10 years younger than me. He's 17 right now. He probably started when he was like 13, maybe younger, way younger. But he was around. He saw me make Bad Labor. He saw my brother make his album.
Yeah.
And I think we were sitting at the table when we were eating, and I said, damn, it's like an Iron Claw scene. I was like telling Ethan, I was like, damn, Ethan. Because my mom also, she made Christian music. She made an album. I was like, damn, Ethan, everyone here at this table has made an album except for you. And he's like, oh yeah, bitch. And he's like 6 albums deep of his own stuff, making song after song. So shout out Ethan Carmona.
Shout out.
The mastermind. And then another big artist that's coming up right now is Ethan Uno. I discovered this fool on TikTok, but man, he does like these hyper pop originals and then kind of remixes of like classic Latino songs. So he does one, the listen to Ethan Uno. He makes baby girl music. He's gonna be big soon. Frank Ocean put one of his songs on like his playlist. Dang. He's still like very.
That sounds actually really. I'm really looking forward to
get into that because his videos are mad DIY. It just also shows you what you can do with whatever you got. Like you can tell they're straight up on a phone. He's probably editing it, maybe on a computer, but like you look at it, like it's him and his brother, I think, just doing a bunch of different camera shots. They pull up at a gas station and he's just like vibing, dancing. And then he had these like really colorful hyper edits, like fan cams. They're like, it's fire. Ethan Uno, baby girl music, bump that today.
Wow.
Very
yes.
Awesome. Cool. And with that,
I think thank you so much for joining us in this episode. And for our listeners who want to find you, where can they find you online?
So I'm on everything, TikTok, Instagram, as the Chris Carmona. You can also go to youtube.com/Chris Carmona and find my stuff there. If you're curious about the old videos, that's youtube.com/Evermar Productions, MAR.
Cool.
Yeah, and let's see, I got the Us podcast too as well. We're gonna get that going again soon at some point. And let's see what else. I'm doing remezcla videos, so check out our Man on the Street series.
Oh yeah.
I'm dropping new music soon at some point. I got a new song called Cella King coming out. It's on my fingies right here.
On my fingies.
I did it specifically for this song. It's been in the making.
My God.
So it's coming out. And yeah, I gotta tell you, this is the coolest show I've ever been on. If you're ever thinking about it, you gotta do it, or you're a fool. You're a fool not to be on the show.
Thank you. And we always do a little at the end of the episode. Which one was your guys' favorite? So this is one. That was one.
That's me on the daily.
That's my brain every day. The way it keeps
Krabs.
going.
Mr. Krabs.
So that was one. This is two.
Classic.
Little. That was me after my shift. This is the third one. Got some really good reverb going on, and then that one scared me too.
That's what Oppenheimer needed when the bomb happens. Wait, and then
everybody's like, ah!
But thank you, Chris Carmona, for joining us on episode 18
Natalia.
of the Hand Me Down podcast. Let me go ahead and do some housekeeping real quick at the end of the episode. If you guys are listening on podcast platform, go ahead and give us a rating and a review. We would appreciate it so much. If you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't do any of that, go ahead and follow us on social media at Hand Me Down Pod. And we have a Discord, so go ahead and join it. It's in the description down below wherever you are listening. And with that, take care, guys.
Yeah, stay warm. My feet are still cold.
Love using the shot.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, cool.
Great episode.
The Hand Me Down podcast is produced and hosted by Natalia Delgado and Alan Gallardo. This episode was edited by Alan Gallardo, and the social media clips are edited by Natalia Delgado. And I'm the associate producer, Milena Ortega. We'll see you next week.